Hi guys, welcome back to another session. And as you can see today, we are going to talk about people who would like to change their careers. That is, for instance, in this session, we are going to make an example of someone who is an administrator and would like to change their careers to be a project officer. Okay, and the CV type that we are going to use is a combination type, and it's a combination because it consists of the functional CV type, as well as the chronological CV type. You can also make use of the functional CV type because it prioritizes skills, and this is very important because the whole point of this type of CV when changing your career is to try and show the transferable type of skills that you possess and that will help you carry out your functions in your new career. Also, when it comes to the employment section, you don't have to start with your most recent job. You can start with the job that is relevant for the post that you are applying for. For instance, if you worked in a certain company in 2010, however, you feel as though that 2010 work that you did is more relevant for the post that you're applying for now. You start with it instead of starting with where you are currently working. So a functional CV type is also appropriate to use. Okay, and guys, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, for example, as an HR officer, I can just wake up and say, oh, I want to be a pilot today, Well, obviously I can, but it's going to require more than just tailoring my CV for that particular post for me to get the job. I'd have to start from the beginning. I'd have to go back to school and to obtain my qualification, and I'd also, have to enroll in certain programs that will, expose me to the field. However, changing careers is not impossible. It can be done with the right CV drafting skills. You can be able to get that dream job of yours. And yeah. Okay, guys, we are now going to begin with our first section, and that is the personal details section. It comprises of three things. That is your name and surname, your contact details, that is your mobile number, as well as your email address. If you have a landline, you can also include it. And lastly, it consists of your residential address. Please note that I have included the title here, but it is not necessary. However, in cases where the advert says that only males or only females should apply, then that's where you can include your title. And also, if maybe they require people who have PhDs, then you can include that. You can include your doctoral title in there. And also, the last tip I'm going to give here is that please avoid making use of funny email addresses. For instance, someone saying, I am sexy@gmail.com. That is not professional, so you should avoid doing it. And yeah, that's just about it with your personal details section. Okay, guys, so we are now going to look at the professional profile section. And first thing is first. So because you are transitioning from one career field to the other, it's most likely that, you don't have experience in that particular field. So what you are going to do is tabulate your employment history, as well as the job advertisement. And what you're going to do is list on the left-hand side, list all your career experiences, your employment experiences. It doesn't matter if it's from the same company or if it's the same job title. The truth is, there are a lot of skills that are important and are required across the board. So in most career fields, the skills are more or less the same. So you are going to list your employment history on this side, and then also place the job advertisement on this side. So what you are going to do now is compare the skills that your new career requires to all the skills that you have acquired in the existence of your employment history. So, for instance, the first one here says, assist in the coordination, management, and implementation of specific projects. So now what you are going to do is go to your employment history and look for a time in your employment history where you coordinated, managed, and implemented projects, So once you have that, you just highlight in the side and also highlight in this side, and then you continue until you are done the last requirement of the job advertisement. And then further, now you are going to compile your professional profile. So what is required here? First, you introduce yourself, making use of 2 or 3 adjectives along with your experience. So this one says, an energetic and self-motivated professional with 3 years of experience in the engineering industry as an administrator. Okay. And secondly, what you are going to do here now is to tell us more about the functions that you are performing in your current job, but also note that the functions that you are performing must relate to what the advert requires. So you are only going to use the highlighted stuff because they relate to what your new employer requires. Okay, so talk about the stuff that you do now, or you did in your past employment field that relate to what your new employer requires. For instance, here it says possesses extensive experience in arranging departmental functions, maintaining reports and documentation, establishing and maintaining relationships with stakeholders, performing budgetary functions and functions. So you are now done with that. So, and second, lastly, you are going to talk about the skills that will be important for your new employer. So also you can include functions that are not necessarily on the advert, but you think for a project officer, they are important. For instance, here it says a skilled communicator who thrives under pressure and possesses strong problem-solving skills. For instance, you see here, the problem-solving skill was taken from the job description in the advert, where it says identify any potential issues or risk that could affect the progression of the project. But only if you have you do have problem solving skills. Don't include it if you don't have it. You can also look at other points here. You will most certainly have other skills. Okay, and then here we have communicator, we have communication skills. Here you read what they require, and it does relate to communication skills, and so you can put it in the however thrives under pressure. It might not be on the advert, but you know that working on projects is, you know, it's a high pressure environment and there are a lot of uncertainties. So in that, you need to keep yourself afloat. You need to be able to keep yourself afloat when there's pressure, when, you know, those uncertainties happen. And last but not least, because because you are transitioning into a new career, you probably don't have experience, you know, exact experience in what they require. So it is important for you to state your objective at the end of your professional profile, because then the recruiter will see that they do not have the wrong CV in their hands. You know, they will not think to themselves, why does this person have administrative experience, but they want to apply for this post? Then your objective makes it clear to them. And here it says, seeking an opportunity to diligently optimize the skills acquired to launch a new career as a project officer. The objective here is to just to compare the skills, your experience, against what is required. And like I said, there are skills that overlap and that, you know, match, go across the board, and you most definitely find skills that you have acquired and that are required by your new employer. And then you are done with the professional profile section. So now we are going to look at the relevant skills section. This one is very easy. You look at the type or the kind of skills that your new employer requires. So you just have to read each of the functions listed, and from there try to extract what kind of skill will help you to carry out those functions. For instance, here it says, what is that? Here it says maintain project calendar and milestones. So you must have time management skills. So here, when you list your relevant skills, you can start with whichever. And also, when drafting your skills, you can either make use of the standard technique as well as the STAR technique, STAR being STAR. So what happens with the STAR technique is that instead of just saying, for instance, the second skill, negotiated and bargained a higher percentage discount when buying tea bags in bulk from XYZ store, you can rather say, so the S stands for the situation. Company had a manual filing system. And then the S stands for the task that you had to do, which was tasked with creating an electronic filing system. And then further, the A stands for action. That is what you did. And that is created and implemented a Google Drive folder to store all the company's files. And then lastly, the R in STAR stands for results, and that is and reports were accessed easily and quickly. So it doesn't have to be like a long sentence. You can just shorten it up, and that is you describe the situation, what you were tasked to do, the actual action that you took, and what are the results. You can just quickly summarize the results as well. So, and then next you look at negotiation skills, which is here. You can look at interpersonal skills, which is not here, but it is very important for you to have interpersonal skills as a project officer, because you are going to be engaging with a different kind of stakeholders, you know. So it is important for you to have interpersonal skills as well as the computer skills. The computer skills were also what is that required on the advert. Yeah, and yeah, that's just about it with the skills, and then you are done. Now we are going to look at the education section, and before we do that, a lot of people are unsure about whether to start with the education section or the employment history. And I would say before you decide which one goes first, you must look at two things. One is which one of the two is your strongest selling point. For instance, this post is for a project officer, and this person has done business management, you know. So that means that this person has the relevant qualifications for the career that they are trying to go into. However, if this is not the case, you can start with your employment history. And secondly, you need to look at the period. So for instance, how long have you last been in school? You know, so if it has been more than 5 years since you've been at school, then you need to start with your employment history. So this one, in this example, we are starting with the education section because this person was last in school in 2017. So thus, education is her strongest point, and also she has the relevant qualification for the job. So education is definitely her strongest selling point, so she will start with it. And also, please note here, I've included the modules completed. This is not necessary if your qualification are not relevant to the job that you're trying to go into. But if they are relevant, they are important to mention, because at least you have basic grounding in the field, and the employer will thus, you know, see this, and it will definitely add points to your CV. And also, I just wanted to make mention of the professional development section. If you have any non-academic training, short courses, or any type of training that you have done that is relevant to the job that you are applying for, then you can include it in your CV. Remember that we only put things in the CV that are relevant to the job that you're applying for. So for instance, if you did a short training course in firefighting, so you wouldn't include it here because it's not relevant to the job that you're trying to go into. And yeah, it's just about it. Education is straightforward. It's important to also include your research topic, because even in your undergrad, because it shows that you have research abilities and certain skills that are related to research when doing research. And also note that the qualification required here is an NQF 7, which is equivalent to a bachelor's degree, as well as an advanced diploma. Okay, guys, we are now going to look at the employment history section. And here my advice is that you need to be creative with how you phrase your functions, as because remember, you are changing careers. So the purpose is not really to to tell your new employer about the functions that you have performed or are performing, but rather to tell him or her about the skills, the type of transferable skills that you have acquired, which will help you to perform your new job as a project officer. So for instance, as you can see, the first point here, and as you know by now, we are only dealing with the red highlighted sentences and not the black ones. So the first example is checking bathrooms, offices on top of the, offices on the top floor, tea station, cleanliness. Okay, so now instead of just copying and pasting into your employment history, you can say monitors the cleanliness of bathrooms, offices on the top floor, and coffee stations. So that way you are telling the employer the type of skill, which in this instance is monitoring skills, which will help you perform your new job. And if the highlighted the highlighted sentences do not have functions that have in them skills that you can transfer into your new job, you can just simply leave them out. And also, please note not to use your current career's lingo, okay, or jargon. That is, for instance, here it says procurement of duties. I'm just giving an example. I know it's not highlighted. Procurement of duties instead of procurement or words like purchase. You can just use buy, or you can use the inverted comma project officer close quote project officer lingo, or you can just simply make use of simple language, because once you are transitioning, because the jargons are very different, certain words in one career might exist, and then in other they might not exist, or they might mean totally different things in another career field. So it is important for you to use the lingo in your new career or new or desired career field, or to use simple words that can be understood by everyone. And yeah, actually the purpose of an employment history section is just to in more detail give your new employer brief sentences of the skills that you have acquired and the type of transferable skills that you possess. And yeah, so everything, actually, once you tabulate all your employment history as well as the advert, and just from scratch identifying which skills is required that you have, it just makes things simple from there, and then everything just comes simple. You are able to effortlessly just list them and just list, copy and paste, but obviously you need to be creative with how you actually phrase your sentences. And the next section is volunteer experience. If you have any volunteer experience that is related to the new job that you would like to go into, then you can include that in your CV. This will give you a boost. This will help you, this will help the employer see that you are someone who is determined to go into the field and who's actively acting on that determination. And if you don't have any type of volunteer experience, I would advise that you do, starting from now, volunteer more into the field of work that you would like to go into, and just so that you can build up an experience. So yeah. And obviously, if you can see in this CV, it says participated in the arrangement of community meetings as well as drafting minutes. So yeah, that's just about it with volunteering. If you did more, you can list all the volunteer experience that you did. Also, please remember that the purpose of this all is just to try and show the employer, the new employer, that we do have transferable skills that will help us to carry out our functions in our new job. So yeah, that's just it, and you're done with your section. And finally, guys, we have the references. My advice with the references is that you need to put your most recent first, and then the least goes down. So what you need to include is their name, their relationship to you, the company they work for, their contact details being their telephone numbers as well as their email address. And also please do note that friends and family, as you know, cannot be included. Only people who have worked with you and can be able to tell your new employer about how you work with others and just your work ethics and all of that. So yeah, that's just about it. References is straightforward and you are done. Finally, guys, we are finally done with our CV. And yeah, this is what it looks like. It's 2 pages long. Remember, that's the max number of a CV. Your CV does not need to be longer than 2 pages. I promise you this. I do promise you, it does not need to be longer than that. Because honestly, recruiters go through a lot of CVs, and for them to go through your 10-page CV trying to see if you are the right fit for the job, it's just not going to fly. So studies show that they have a max of 2 minutes, some even 60 seconds to view your CV. So if it's longer than 2 pages, yeah, it's probably the reason why you've not been called for interviews. But yeah, that is it. And with regards to changing careers, I can just say, in order for you to get to stand better chances of getting the job, I'll just advise that you need to upskill. You need to, for instance, with this subheading here, professional development, continuously go for short training courses, go for non-academic activities that will definitely score you points when you are trying to change careers. And yeah, and also with the employment history here, I can just add, I think I forgot to mention it earlier, is that you can ask someone in your in your current field where you work currently, for instance, your supervisor or your line manager, to write a brief reference letter for you to attach to your CV, just them explaining about your transferable skills, the transferable skills that you have that will make you, that will assist you in performing your functions. So that will also be an added advantage. And yeah, that's it. Changing careers, it's not hard. You just have to have the right CV format.